To go to Magnum, if we go with the hypothesis that he's going to be the NWA champion, that it was predetermined, I shouldn't use that word, but it was predestined he was going to win the NWA title. First of all, when do you see that happening? Is it Starrcade 86 or is it 87?
Well, people have asked that before, and I think 86 may have been quick. People point to that, well, Nikita had just turned to take, Magnum's place, and then he's in the main event with Flair at Starrcade, but that was a pre-existing kind of situation where they had been, when Flair was still a babyface to Carolinas, the main event of the first Great American Bash at Charlotte Memorial Stadium in 85 was Flair and Nikita. So it was something that you could have gone back to at any point, and now it's just a different outlook because Flair's the heel and Nikita's the babyface. So I don't know if it would have been that fast, and that was right after 6 weeks after the accident anyway, but I think by 87 it would have probably happened, because I don't know if Dusty would have sat on that, all the way till 88, and then, it obviously wouldn't have happened because TBS became involved.
So we're talking about what impact their tragic incidents had on future events. If Magnum T.A. stays healthy and wins the NWA World title and whatever happens, happens, what happens to Sting?
That's a good question also, because Sting did not even arrive in the company until 6 months after Magnum's accident. If he had arrived in the company and Flair had still had Magnum to work with, and Barry Windham was in at that point, and maybe Barry Windham wouldn't have been in probably if Magnum hadn't had his accident. But Sting would have been... Flair would have always liked him, liked what he saw, and wanted to work with Sting and wanted to, have a program with him or whatever. I don't know if Flair would have seen the need to make a new babyface, like that, as quickly as he did in one night at the first Clash of Champions.
Right, that's the question, I guess. Would there have even been that need for a top babyface at that point, that you had to do that at the big event, which was run against WrestleMania?
Well, there's always a need for a top babyface, but it might not have been that pressing where it happened that night. And maybe, if it hadn't happened that night and there was still, Magnum was still around, or Barry Windham came back, maybe Sting would have been a little overshadowed. I have no idea, but I think that's probably a thing that Sting would have been, still would have gotten over with people. He still was Sting, and he still had the things that they liked, but it probably would have delayed him or possibly taken the effect off the, star-making performance at the Clash. Because really, that was, the people were ready to like him, and Flair just had him do everything he knew how to do 3 times, including beat his chest. But they were ready to buy it.
But would Dusty have gone with him?
Probably, because, he wouldn't have gone with Sting over Magnum T.A. Nor should he have at that point, because Sting was much greener and unproven. But he still would have pushed a guy like Sting. No doubt about it.
Well, no doubt about it. But if you had some doubt, or perhaps you wanted to make a prediction about what Dusty would have done with Sting, and perhaps there was something called Prize Picks in 1988, you'd be able to do that. You couldn't then unless you have Chris Jericho's time machine, but you can now, even without it. Prize Picks, Jim.
Good Lord, even if I wasn't confused and brain foggy, I would be after that. Well, folks, of course, Prize Picks are our daily fantasy friends. They have fantasies every day that you can jump in on. And you don't even need to bring your own toys and equipment. They've got the whole room set up right there. You just go to prizepicks.com and you make entries based on player projections. And you select more or less, meaning, is Jim Cornette going to shit himself 3 times on Monday? More or less. And if you pick right, well, then you don't get shit on, you get money. And right now, apparently, I think they've increased this thing, because right now, If you go to prizepicks.com and you pick 2 to 6 players, pick your projections, make your thoughts known, you can win up to 25 times your money. Has that ever been that big before? That many multiples of your money?
I don't know. That's pretty big.
That's pretty darn big. Well, it's so big it ought to be. Well, nevertheless, you can not fight other people, but the projections. It's you versus those damn projections. And on any sport. And you know what, folks? I usually read it off, but I don't have the win this week. So just start with NFL, end up with cricket, and know that disc golf is in the middle. Any professional sport, down to cockfighting and ball licking that you could possibly think of.
Not those. And I don't know if those will qualify as sports, but yes, disc golf.
That's right. And also ball licking has not been made professional yet. That's still in the amateur realm. And you can make entries in 60 seconds or less. It's that easy. And make safe and fast withdrawals. You don't even need to pull a sidearm. They're currently operational in over 30 states and Canada. And right now, folks, download the Prize Picks app or go to prizepicks.com to sign up and play the daily fantasy sports. First-time users, which might include some of you out there, can receive a 100% instant deposit match up to $100 with the promo code JCE. That means you put in 100, they'll give you 100. You put in 50, they'll give you 50. You put in nothing, they'll blackball you forever in your neighborhood. Don't forget to enter promo code JCE at the sign up for an instant deposit match up to $100. Win up to 25 times your money. Show off how smart you are. You know, there's a lot of real smart asses out there, Brian. You know the definition of a smart ass?
What's that?
That's somebody can sit down on an ice cream cone and tell you what flavor it is. PrizePicks.com.
All right, well, let's try to find a way to fill up the rest of this program here today.
Oh, really? Well, I thought we already had 10 pounds of shit in this 5-pound bag, but go ahead.